control on sort of what happens. So yeah, that's all just interesting about. Yeah, I'm here to learn and here to listen. So yeah, no, it's good. Thank you, mate.
Well, you got a special treat with Dee because that was very spot
Sharky,
on.
can I add something?
My fellow Aussie friends, and I've known you for a long time, Random. I mean, I think I've known you and Dee almost the same amount of time since Spaces came out. That's why I'm like, you can trust this random Aussie guy. He's not here to be like, and you're a big ally of us. And people sleep on Australia. I don't know why. They are a huge ally of us, and it's important. I always say this in my spaces, and look, everyone runs their spaces different, but I really do want to hear, especially from Canada, England, Australia, and it seems like there's quite a few Canadians and Australians in my room more than any other, even English people, Scottish people. Like, they're two top people that are in my rooms other than Americans, and I think that says something. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna sorry, mate. I was just gonna say everyone's afraid of Australia because have you seen the spiders we have here?
Well, you're the first person that told me that you have birds that eat babies. I was like, oh, that's fucking scary. You don't screw around there in Australia. We don't have anything quite that scary other than Donald Trump. That was a joke, guys. Come on, laugh. We can have some levity. But yes, it would behoove you to want Kamala, especially with NATO. Anyway, I'll digress because there's other hands, and TK came back, and I know his hand was up. TK, did you want to go ahead? Thank you, Random. Go ahead, TK.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make a quick comment. I appreciate all the speakers and making great points. And I think someone was talking about Kamala speaking directly to the audience and looking directly at the camera. And I was thinking about the convention last night, the last day. And two people really left a lasting impression in my mind. Two speakers who were directly looking directly at the camera and tried to speak directly to the people. And those were Gretchen Whitmer, the Michigan governor, and Kamala Harris. There might have been other people who were looking at the camera, but those two people especially left a lasting impression in my head. So, Soul Sister, yay, Michigan, if you're still here. But anyway, yes, I really think she was talking to the people, and she was trying to deliver a message to us, to all of us Americans, and to all of the viewers. And like other people said, I think she touched on everything people were interested in. I really believe she addressed all the issues, and she did a wonderful job last night. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you for letting me come up again. Yeah.
Oh, of course, TK, and I know I love the silent listener, but almost in here the whole time, and I want. Even though there's some people that don't always feel comfortable talking, I love hearing from you too. It's always a special treat, especially the people that I've seen for like, whether I'm running for 5 hours, 6 hours, you never know me. And then they come up, and yeah, I know we talked a little bit last night about that for sure. And Gretchen was amazing, and she was short, but like got to the point. So thank you for that, TK. Okay, so technically the next person was Agent. Go ahead, Agent.
Hey, usually I'm at home and I got notes, but I'm at work taking a moment. The convention was like a roller coaster, and I want to get back on. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think in 2028, I'm saving money to go, because after what Georgia did, everybody's gonna want to. They're probably like, "Hey, we could have done that." So every state's gonna want to represent. It's gonna be like a 2-day long roll call. Okay, that's that aside. In the purple pill, I honestly don't know how to put it up on the bird's nest, so somebody could help me with that. I put the iwillvote.com so you guys could check your registrations. I suggest bookmarking it so you guys could regularly check, like Soul Sister said. The other thing I did was I put the official convention YouTube channel. So if you miss anything, you go back and rewatch. I mentioned this yesterday, or you could share with other people. You could record little clips or whatever on your Twitter accounts, your Facebooks, your Instas or whatever, and post it. Okay, you don't have to post like the whole video, just the important parts, the things that stuck out to you that you think might help other people, make their final decision. I also posted a Democratic account for YouTube as well, because while the convention was going, they had committee and caucus meetings on the side, and those were also recorded, so you guys could go check that out. It's on climate change and seniors, etc. So please check them out. You could put it on double speed or whatever, and also you guys could clip that and post it as you will. The other thing I'm gonna say is a lot of us are in groups that are not political, like you're like your Pikachu fan club or your erotica fan club accounts or whatever it is. Make a post, or ask the admin first if you can make a post reminding people to primary, register, or vote, and just like with like a little subtitle says, please do not post your politics, or like have the admin turn off the comments. So it's non-political and you're just reminding people, and then that's it, sometimes people just need a reminder. Okay. The other thing is make yourself a safe space for people to ask you questions. I had my first kiss, my childhood friend, reach out all the way from Texas, I'm in Florida, to ask me a question, what was going on with Biden. And I've been able to walk him through, because I was, we were all confused, even if we were in the know, what was going on. And I walked him through, and he's part of a huge family. So if I touch his, heart, I'm able to reach other ones, right? And hopefully, if we all reach within our network and try to expand our network, because, a lot of us stay within our little bubble. We need to, look around a little bit and see who is curious or things like that. Because there's plenty of people who just have their head down, they're busting your butts, living check to check, and they really don't understand what's going on. And the few times they're online or whatever, they're getting little TikTok or Reels or whatever with a lot of it's propaganda, to be honest. And they might not know, because I was watching what Jermaine Dupri posted a little thing after the convention. And Jermaine Dupri is a world famous producer. He's worked with Missy Elliott and so on and so forth. And he didn't understand why Kamala and Biden had not accomplished certain things. And the sad part is American education system is not that good. Some people have been out of the education system for a long time, haven't had to really think about politics and remember those things for a long time. So we have to remind people that we need to not only obviously support Kamala, but we need to support all the down ballot candidates and amendments and so on and so forth, because not only does Kamala need a team, but our local officials need a team, because we live in a democracy, right? And that's one of our greatest strengths. All the power is spread out, right? We're not like Haiti, where you take out the capital and you got the country, okay? Remember when Katrina hit Louisiana? We need to make sure that we're putting those people in those spots, right? And just what I usually do is I get my sample ballot. I go through it. I Google everybody. I go to most of them have a Facebook account. Because I'm gonna tell you, if it's like a school board person or some small position, they might not have a website and those kind of things. Go to Facebook and look up their name, see what they're about. You could contact them. You could go to your local Democratic office and ask. They're friendly. They know what it is to work with professionals, and they also know to work with the laymen, people who this is their first time. They've never thought about it. They're new to the country. They will help you. Okay, do not be afraid, and be that person for other people. I'm not a go-getter. I'm doing this because obviously I'm kind of anonymous on here. If you look at my account, you can probably figure out who I was if you were going to stalk me or anything. Please don't do that. But, was raised by an immigrant and a refugee. So I've been taught that, things can quickly change. My mom's family is from Nicaragua and El Salvador. So I know what civil war is. And my dad, he came with the Mariel people, and thanks to Jimmy Carter, was allowed into the country. So I know what a dictatorship is. I know how quickly things have changed. And I think I also have a great appreciation for what this country is and can be. I think of somebody stuck under rubble somewhere and they're thinking, I hope the Americans send somebody. So what we do locally affects the world. And we need to uphold that, be it that light for the world. And I know that Kamala and Biden got a lot of crap for them saying that stay where you are. But for me, I think about it is most people don't want to leave where they grew up. Their local church, their school friends, the home that their little height was marked on. That's where they want to stay. And that's what they're trying to help people stay where they love their community and build from that. And of course, the people that cannot stay, if you're being chased by, MS-13 or whatever, and you cannot stay, you're LGBTQ and you cannot stay, or your life is in danger, you need somewhere else to go, we should be open to that. And sorry for rambling on. Like I said, I'm at work. I'm landing my plane. Oh, last thing. I'm a plus size person. My addiction, I admit, is food, but mostly caffeinated drinks like Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Not a sponsored. And I can understand where somebody like Donald Trump, his thing might not be alcohol. I've tried, like when Hillary lost, I was at my sister's house, they had a liquor cabinet. I tried to get drunk. I could not. It was gross. But I could see where he might be somebody who takes pills, or, because we all know that he kind of has handlers from a certain person, certain groups. Who knows? They might be putting stuff in his drinks and food. And I will land my plane there. Okay, bye.
No, thank you, Agent. I know you popped in the other night. That was great information. And I think you were talking about pop-up postcards or something last night that I was so tired. I had to close the space, even though we were all pumped up for Kamala. But all interesting points. And then you said, just to kind of circle back for a second, that you didn't know how to post up, whether you call it the bird's nest, the jumbotron, or did you post it in the purple pills, like down there in the comments?
That's what Sharky. I put it up there for her. She had it in the thread, and I just transferred them to the jumbotron.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Again, another kind of mic drop. You guys have been mic drop people all night. Jeez. I don't really have a lot to say about, but I love also your personal story about your friend and getting the word out there, because it's really, really important. I think tonight's been amazing from hearing everyone and then also you bring up community. And I saw on your profile that you do live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I recently went to St. Augustine in February, so I was like, how's Florida doing? But in general, yes. Thank you, Dee, for doing that. And if you ever want to know how to, we'll definitely be here, and definitely join D spaces as well if you can. I'm always going to advocate for your D, even though I can never make your spaces. That's the irony.
I know, but Agent
has.
comes a lot. She's been a long time
They
follower.
do.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't know. Okay. But thank you. And yeah, I mean, good point too at the end there. I guess I wasn't even thinking about food or anything like that. I just was like so surprised, because I've known people like Donald Trump, unfortunately, and they usually have some kind of more alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. So just an interesting point there too, because I thought it's just so weird for him, because someone like Walls can take a DUI and say, I'm never going to drink again. But someone like Trump, it's almost like this falsehood that he has some sort of discipline or he's doing something good. So that's really was my bigger picture point. But really great points. And I hope you join these rooms again, because we've heard so many different things, even at this hour. But the voter registration, how you talk to people, like I like that this is becoming, a big talking point, because we can go on all day how great Kamala was last night, whatever, but to get her in, and now I think it's 73 days, 72 maybe tomorrow, there's got to be that kind of communication. So thank you, and I really appreciate that you came up there, Agent. And I'm sorry that you have to work. That sucks. That's how I feel all today. But I can't. I'm like, I want to. But I'm glad you were able to listen while you're working. Also, while you work. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I have that in my head. Anyway, Thank you. I know I make really bad jokes. Bogart's like, just stop, and I'm like, no, get it? Like, okay. All right, Ozzy. Another surprise. You're still in here, so go ahead. Do you have some questions?
Yeah. Sorry, I just had a finish.
Hey, you're breaking up a little bit, my dude. Breaking up. Yeah. Anyone hear that? You sound like you're breaking
Yeah,
up
he
a
sounds
little.
like he's in the Matrix.
Yeah, you're definitely breaking up here too.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yep.
can.
I was just going to say, in Australia, you have to vote. If you don't vote, you get like a $50 fine. And the way it works is you go to like a primary school or you know, and you have to driver's license ticked off, or basically, so you know it's all very legitimate and structured. Um, First is how come in America voting is
I feel like I know what you're trying to say, but it's too broken up. Is it possible that you can go out and come back in, or is it because you're driving? Or maybe you're not driving anymore. I feel like you said that earlier. Or I don't know if you can hear me. Can anyone else chime in to see if you can hear me too?
I can hear you. Maybe he.
I can hear you. I can't hear Rando
Okay,
right now.
yeah. Random Aussie. Is there a possibility you can go back in and come back out? Because I think you're going on something that's really important. So you'd actually have to leave the room and then come back in a speaker. But it might be because you're driving too, and I don't know Australia at all. So I'm like, maybe you're on like one of those weird roads, like everyone in America, right? Like everyone has that experience. Okay. And then try to like you'd actually leave the room and then come back in like all fresh and stuff. I think I knew where he was going with this. And yes, in Australia it is a fine, and I think you get like a sausage or a hot dog. I want to confirm that with him too. So I've met so many Australians that are like, you get fined, and also you can get a sausage. I'm like, I feel like Americans would show up to vote if they got fined in general, but for half a hot dog and a Coke. So let's hope that Random Ozzy comes back in because I am very curious about this in Australia in general because I think he had a good point, but hopefully he comes back in. Let's just give him a minute there. But yeah, there's a lot of Australians that come in and Canadians too in my rooms. Most like 99% of the time, they're all like, we want democracy in blue, and there's always a few that are a little odd, but he's a good cat. Hopefully, I don't know. It might be because he was driving, so I don't want to belabor this. If he said sorry, mate. Of course it's mate. Sorry, mate. I'm in a car. I'm in a car park now with low phone reaction. So I think in Australian that means I'm in a parking garage and I don't have reception. I mean, right?
I would agree, and I think what he was trying to ask is like, there are some places where like you have to kind of register to vote here, and in other places around the world, like it's automatic. Like you're born, you're kind of put on, you turn of age, whatever that is, and it's a system you're automatically in that you kind of have to opt out of. I mean, and I just feel like that's just kind of the difference in our government, and maybe uh there is focus on that, and maybe someday we can get to that, but it's just the way our government unfortunately is structured, much like our electoral process. Not all of these things are perfect or great, but it is what we have, and so uh, I think that may be where he was going. You think, Sharky?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He might, get out of his car park and the slow reaction. No, I'm just kidding. I love Aussies with their. It's like a whole new language with the front. I shouldn't generalize people, but in my experience of over like 3 years ish since Spaces came out, they're always some of the best people, and they're really quick and short too. So sort of in and out. Like, hi, mate. I'm like, great. A birdie, you're turtle, but everything's cool. Yeah, I do think that's probably where he was going, but I don't want to speak for him. But I do happen to know, and this is kind of an interesting topic. Like, I really wonder if it was a fine. Like, if you don't, Americans care so much about their money, right? If you don't vote, like, what would that be? But I do like that they get some sort of sausage or treat too with it. But yeah, that's probably where he was going, but I don't want to speak for him. So hopefully if he comes back, great. If not, all good. So we can definitely move on. There's still a lot of people that are listeners, so please feel free. I didn't like really throw out a ton of like invites, but I'm just gonna kind of randomly do this for people's profiles that sort of check out. Please feel free to come up and speak. In general, I didn't mean for you to drop to listener there, TK. But I just mean like, if you're enjoying the room, if you feel like you want to comment, I'm just kind of throwing the mic around. Please feel free. Again, this is political space. So, request to come up, or if I give you the mic. I have been running since I was fresh off of work. I wasn't even going to do a space. I actually named the space Political Ghost because I was going to do like a whole paranormal situation station and see who wanted to talk about politics or who wanted to talk about the paranormal. And it apparently I'm talking about sharks. Again, just like Biden, I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm a policy spacer. I'm kidding. I made that joke twice tonight. I can't do it. I am not a one-trick pony. I like to talk about all kinds of things. And sometimes you need that break from politics. I took a whole week off, but that's okay. But yeah, so I'm seeing some other hands too. Go ahead, Dee.
I really just wanted to say I'm probably going to be dropping down here shortly, but I appreciate you always inviting me to your spaces, and you have great spaces, and yeah, I really do enjoy hearing other perspectives, and as you said, running a space, I do mine a little differently because, I kind of have a different purpose. I tend not to have too many people who are not actually, able to vote speak because I'm really trying to, get as much information out as possible as opposed to kind of, just having questions like this, like, maybe after this election, I can go back to a little bit of that in time once our democracy is safely secured. But I just feel like the pressure to just sustain and preserve our democracy has been so great since the former guy came on the stage. That's where my work has been. So and I appreciate you, which is why I come to your spaces sometimes. It's to decompress and to have something a little different, So I just want to thank you, doing a terrific job. Keep having the conversations. It's always interesting to hear other people's perspectives and what their experience. One thing that I wanted to comment on that agent gave you the example of talking to someone, and I speak of this often about the ripple effect, and I think that that's what we have to kind of remember. Like, we all have our own personal circles, associations, and like, that's where we need to work. Like, everybody can't do everything or the same thing, but everybody can do something. And as Michelle Obama said, we all need to do something. So never feel that what you are doing is not having an impact. Just do something, because you talk to one person, that person talks to another, and you see on and on and on. And like she said, they have a big family, and people like us tend to be the go-to person in our family or circles where people come and ask questions and things. And so that's you having an impact, and you just like the what's that saying, the sum is kind of greater than the whole, in that respect of us all working to preserve our democracy. And that's, what I seek to do, is to get everyone thinking in that respect, like, you matter, and it matters that you're involved, because that is really where the strength of our democracy comes from. So I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate all the great comments and resources, and hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. And like I said, just remember, we can, enjoy this joy, the joy momentum, but also recognize that we have to take it into action. So we carry this joy into door knocking, text banking, phone banking, or just having these casual conversations with people in our lives. But it is going to require us for the next 70 something days. And actually, in some states, believe it or not, early voting starts in less than a month. So we need to really, just be very cognizant of all these things and provide our friends and community with as many resources as possible to ensure they have all the tools that they need to be able to vote.
Yeah, great points, Dee. And again, thank you for coming as always. And yeah, we definitely, I mean, if you want to shout out your space, please feel free, because I can never make it because I'm working. But yeah, and the main thing is I still, no matter what, I just like to hear what's going on. Like, we're our allies, it's to me, but like, again, and I don't want to say it verbatim because I know I don't have all of the factual information, but I believe if you're going to turn 18 pretty soon or after the election, you can early vote, but I have to get that fact, because someone was talking about this like 2 weeks ago. So if there's people that are on like the verge of 18 or something like that, they can not early voting, but they can vote. They have to do something. So I need to get that too. It's a great point because it just reminded me of this. And I don't remember what she said, but I will get it. And again, I'm actually, and this is so rare of me, you guys don't even understand. I never leave spaces up. Still gonna lock my profile down. Sorry for the background noise. I just want to step outside to have a breath of fresh air. But I normally never leave spaces like where you can play this back, and if you want to, because I think I've been running for like 5-6 hours. But I'm gonna leave the space up because I think there were so many amazing speakers, and you might have to listen to some jokes about politics and ghosts in the beginning, so maybe start in the middle. But I don't know how to edit this shit. I don't have time. But definitely do that. And D, what's your space? It's advocacy. See, this is how
It's
I know I'm
okay. Yeah, it's okay. Ad-
trying.
Yeah, it's Advocacy Arena, and I have a live space every Monday at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitter. And I also have channels on Spotify, YouTube, and Substack as Advocacy Arena. And I usually carry the conversations over that we have in spaces to those other platforms. In addition, I have one on one interviews with a lot of different people that you can enjoy as well. And again, it's all around basically getting people civically engaged. And for me, I feel like that starts with information. So that's what I try to do in my spaces, is to provide information. We hit the top topics. We cover geopolitics as they are relevant. And we also do a lot of history, one, because I'm a nerd, but two, because it really, really matters. And I like to connect the dots. And we talk a lot about what the obstacles are that we're facing, that we need to overcome, like Project 2025. So it's always a great space. No two are the same. And I sometimes it's just the community voices, and sometimes I have special guests that come in to share information. So I hope you come and join us. And the us is Soul Sister, because she is my fabulous co-host. And anytime anything is going on regarding the union and also the media, she spent her career working with the UAW, and she was like their international press person. So she understands media, and she also has a great depth of knowledge. And so that's kind of what we do, where we are. And I hope you guys will join us. And thank you, Sharky, for always allowing me to kind of promote that.
Of course, of course, of course. I was trying to say that with the magic wand. As you know, as a host, it's so annoying when I'm trying to mic on, mic off, and it's like the very weird freaking. I'm like, am I going to sound like a robot now? But thank you. Yes, of course. I'm going to go to my last hand, and that's Mags. Go ahead, Mags.
Hey, if you were getting ready to close, that's fine. I just wanted to say, hey, you were and Dee, I wanted to echo some of what Dee was saying, and her advocacy arena has really taught me a lot, and I I just adore you, Dee. Thank you for all of your hard service work that you've done from the time I remember a couple of maybe 2 years ago now, and I was just feeling so alone, and I might have been on the verge of tears when I spoke the first time in your space. It was a long time ago, and it could have been. I know it was yours. It was just very.
I remember you, Maggie.
Oh, the very first one. I was just gonna. I was just such. So I was just couldn't believe it that I found you guys, and but since then, I've always felt like, yeah, I do things, the online, posting. I took the fight to Facebook first because a lot of people I grew up with in Maryland, I just couldn't believe how bad the racism was. I must have just I just must have believed that people believe the way I believe, and maybe that was my world, and uh you know, I I feel bad about that, I did find out as time went on, especially in the Obama years, but then of course Trump, and then we had the pandemic, and then things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm in Florida too, so I like what the other lady shared, but I have some good news because I was feeling really isolated down here, and I'm in a very red county, and of course they've gerrymandered like crazy, and they've removed people from the rolls. But we've known about that, or at least I've known about that for quite a long time. I had to re-register twice since the midterms, um, because it's not automatic like it used to be. After 2020 was when they started doing all this fuckery, for lack of a better word, and that's how Ron DeSantis was able to win his reelection so handily, which I always have questioned, but without evidence, of course. But there is, you know what he's doing. He has that loyalist type of mentality with people, and then he was hiring DAs and just all kinds of bullshit. And so the good news is that we had two things. We had a local election last Tuesday. We had our elections. I'm a mail-in person. I dropped off my ballot and my son's. My husband went to vote at the ballots. He didn't think he needed to. I said, no, this is important. You have to vote at the primary, because primaries are extremely important, because if you have, if somebody's registered as a Republican, especially, they could at least try to vote against the extremist faction, because if the extremist faction does win in the primary, it's harder to win in a very red district in the general. So that was important. But of course, he was an independent. That didn't apply to him, but it's just important anyway. And I didn't even realize this, but I was pushing them. We all voted. And there were two school board members that they weren't Democrats, but they were pro-democracy Republicans, which is critical, for the school board. At least they weren't pushing on the banned books, and they were doing, they were being supported by people that, because I think what happens down in Florida, people have told me this, that they moved from another state and people told them, well, you just want to register as Republican because they don't want people to know that they're a Democrat or some shit. I've, this is all new to me probably in the last year. And it started coming out, with all my other work that I do, like really pissing people off really on Facebook, because I really don't give a fuck. And I mean, it's just, I have a job, but for whatever reason, I really don't care. This is more important to me before anything. And so, but good news there was they won the MAGA faction, which were I had gone down to what I thought was a live meeting for the Democrats to do some support work and some volunteer work. It ended up being on Zoom. Well, long story short, I end up at this place, and right across the street is the place I'm going, but it didn't look like anybody was there. And I saw this library with a bunch of signs. I said, well, they must be in the library. And it turned out it was all these MAGA Trumpers people for the local. This was a week ago, a week and a few days back. And I go, "What's up?" And I would just was I pulled up because there was a woman out there with the sign, and I said, "What's up?" "Oh, we're here to support the candidates." I said, "Oh," it said, and I realized I'm in the wrong room, right? I'm in the wrong parking lot, right? And I just was interested in what she would say, and she was saying, "Yeah, we don't wanna vote for so and so for the school board because she supports the dirty books." I said, "Oh, really? How isn't that great?" And I was being like, "For real? Isn't that great?" And she thought I was being, like, sarcastic, like, putting the woman down, and so she goes on with her stupidity, this white privileged woman, and I just was like, no, definitely not." And I pissed her off. I think I said something to the effect, "You're so fucking privileged," and rolled my eyes, and I don't know what I said. I was just kind of like, she had my blood pressure moving upwards while I listened to her for not even 10, 15, maybe not less than a minute, but I heard enough, and then I left. I was in my car. I was like, "Maggie, you're gonna get yourself in trouble," you know? But, that was fun, and I was just a little worried because I saw it was more signs than anything, and it wasn't a lot of people outside, and that was the other thing is that they do these stand on the corner. You go somewhere on a Saturday, like tomorrow I'll go, I'll probably see them on the corner, maybe, maybe not. But the last time I saw him, and I always give him the big bird, and, I have fun doing that, but that's about it. And yeah, 'cause it's kinda you could get in trouble down here, but they're crazy. But thank God I'm lucky, I guess. I just kinda isolate. I really don't. That's the problem with living here. So anyway, long story. Go by the last time, and nobody was honking. Not a flippin' honk. Not one. I didn't hear any, and it's a long light. And I'm just looking at them in the heat, and I'm going, "Oh, I love it. I love it, you bunch of idiots." And so there's just signs. There are signs in an area. This I know that back when we had Andrew Gillum running, he almost won, and then they smeared him, and I felt horrible. He would have been fabulous for Florida for governor. Um, that still pisses me off. Um, it was a very close race, and I remember after that election and before I guess that was before Trump. I don't know. Anyway, where was I going with that? We were purple. We even in this area where I am, if there were articles written in the local paper, you don't see that kind of thing now, but there were articles written about how the Democratic voter count and registrations had gone up and it had been gaining And I felt really good about even where I lived. It made me feel a little bit better about where I live. Um, Whereas now I just look around and I have trust issues left and right. But yeah, so then that leads me to the last thing with my would be for me, but they have the local Democratic office has phone banking, and they also have a registration training on Zoom, and it's on the Mobilize app. And I've been signing up, and so I just wanted to let you guys know that these are the ways to do it that are less obtrusive, and pretty simple. You just could do it online. And a lot of us that are in these type of spaces are pretty tech savvy, or, at least enough technical skills to do that. And so it makes a difference. We have to get the registrations back up. But I think I still have a hard time believing that it's 800,000 Debs and 200,000 Republicans. I don't know. There was like a million. So if anybody wants to speak to that, but so there's some glimmer of hope, and still a whole lot more work to do down here. And yeah, I've wanted to leave a lot of times. It's I still want to leave. But we'll see. We'll see. We're trying. Anyway, that's all I have.
No, thanks, Mags. And again, you definitely touched on a few points. And I think Agent's going to close this out. And I think you're in Florida as well. If you can, to touch any of the points that Mags made, go ahead, Agent.
Yeah, I'm still at work. I clean houses and I take care of elderly people. Right now I'm cleaning a Pilates studio, but so I'm able to listen and talk. But what I'm gonna say is cleaning elderly people's homes, especially here in Florida, you see what they have, right? And I'm seeing less and less Trump merch. The people who had Trump merch haven't gotten new stuff, or they've taken it down when they did their remodel. They haven't put it up. When I drive around the park, the trailer park, it's one of those nice ones. I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 flags flapping in the air. Other years, there've been like these huge white pickup trucks with like the ginormous flags. And this whole year, I think I've only seen 1. I rarely see Trump stickers, but I do see them. I wish more Democrats put their stickers up so we don't feel so alone. But I get it. My mom's scared that she's gonna be harassed, and so I have my sticker like on the windshield when I'm with her. But when I get out of the car, I take it off and I put it in the glove compartment because I don't want anybody harassing my mom. She's already disabled and all that stuff. I don't want her to deal with that. And I put in the comments, a little screenshot of one of our elections for the District 3, yada yada, and just to show how close some of these elections are, in which every vote counts. I've been in Florida since October 1994 when we got here. It was pretty conservative, and the city of St. Petersburg was coming from California to here. It was like a gray day on a Monday, like 5 or 7 in the morning. No cars on the road, sad. The whole downtown boarded up, gum on the floor for like just on one on top of the other. You just like papering the ground. It was really sad. And throughout the years, yeah, some conservative mayors and stuff like that made things better. But you could see the complete difference as soon as Democrats took over. Our city, I'm not joking, even when the recession happened, and was it 2007? Our city was still building. Things were changing, growing. And right now, on my brother's block, 4 houses went up almost overnight. Everywhere I go, construction. And not only that, we're getting the fiber optics. We just got the notice, and just growth. And then I think about when I drive to my sister's house in Haines City, which is more inward, halfway to Orlando, which is more red zone. It's just boarded up, sad. You can see where something had happened at some point in history, and it's just shrinking down. And it's just sad. And that's considering the fact that she's in a new build community. She's like, I have to drive for miles to reach something. To get a hairdresser, it's twice as much as when I'm in St. Petersburg. And so she still has her doctor's appointments and all that when she comes down here, because it's just so sad. And what I'm going to say to that is that having a blue city is such a buffer from what DeSantis is doing and from what Trump was doing. And I could just imagine how much better we in the surrounding areas would be had a Democrat been there instead of, if Hillary had been there instead of Donald Trump. Obviously the federal monies and all that these red areas should be receiving would be here, we would be getting that. And we wouldn't have to be wasting money on these stupid school book bans and all that. And what I'm going to say is, talking to my mom, I asked her about her friends, people who are in agreement with us, if they're registered, if they're going to go vote. And she's like, honestly, I've never asked. And I'm like, you need to ask. If you don't, something that she taught me, if you don't ask, you're not going to find out. If you don't ask, you don't say something, nothing changes. So, just politely in conversation, hey, how's it going? What about you and your son? Are you going to, you want to go? We'll go together and we'll go pick up coffee afterwards. Or let's get coffee and then we'll go. Or if your friend has kids and they're wondering about who's going to babysit, like, hey, while I'm in the booth, you watch my kids. And while I'm in the booth, you watch your kids. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll all go for, ice cream or whatever. Take the kids to the dollar store, whatever. And we just got to step out of the circles and not that teach the people around, teach the adults around you and the children that if you love your country, voting is a lifelong commitment. Because others have said that, this Project 25 is just a long line of their plans of people who want to take us back. And there's going to be another plan, even if Donald Trump loses and they lose all over the country and, a bunch of areas turn blue, they're not going to stop. We're happy, joyous people. So we're living our lives. And then occasionally we pay attention, or some of us pay more than others, but we're living our lives. But these hateful people, they're stewing in this. They're planning this. These greedy, hateful people, they're just waiting for that moment. And all we got to do is lose one time. We have to be fighting all the time because they just need to win. They need to win one time and drastic things happen. We've seen that with Donald Trump, how much things in our country changed. Okay. And before I go, I know I went off on a bunch of tangents. I'm sorry. Here in Florida, yes, there are more Republicans registered. But when DeSantis won, of all eligible voters, only like 30%, don't quote me on that, voted. Of all parties voted, 30%. Meaning, had all Democrats and anybody Democrat, left-leaning would have voted, we would have won. Okay? Every single time. Even if you live in the bluest of blue places, please vote. Because all you need is for all the blues to be complacent, and you get that one person and they redraw everything, they change the plans, they'll do like Donald Trump and throw away the pandemic response plan and fire people, and then all of a sudden we have a pandemic. We cannot rest. Okay? Please. Thank you.
Thank you. That was perfect, especially to close out my space. So important. And again, I feel like I'm being not a bad host, but normally I want to kind of converse before I go to another person, even though you're closing it out. But really great points. And yeah, we do not want a Hillary 2.0 where everyone thought she had it in the bag and people didn't show up to vote. Also, I love that you're, talking about your personal experience, especially down in Florida and what you've seen and things that have changed, right? Like more people maybe from yesteryear, a few years ago, had more MAGA and now they don't. So I think that's a good sign. I actually wish I could say more, but I'm so fading, guys. It's been a long week. But I really enjoyed you, especially. I hope you come to my rooms again, Agent. Really on point on a lot of things you said. So thank you so much. And yes, I also like I think you said something similar the other night about postcards and, hey, you can watch my kids when I do this, and having those uncomfortable conversations, which I technically have all the time, and they are uncomfortable. That's what we have to do, at least for these 70 odd days, like Dee pointed out. Please go to Dee's rooms, patronize rooms, do all the things. I'm sorry, patronize. I love that word. Patronize person, patronize business. Patronize rooms. And I just loved everyone that talked tonight. Thank you so much for coming in. I know I've been running for a while, which is probably why I sound exhausted. Agent, again, can't thank you enough. And sorry for anyone's hands that came out that I didn't get to. But yeah, vote big, vote blue down ballot. We definitely want to regain the House, maintain the Senate, and get Kamala Harris in for democracy. We do not want to be in an autocracy, and I guess a lot of other things that are going to come with the Orange Menace. So thank you all again. I hope you have a great